Good morning, everybody. Wakey, wakey. It's time for Morning Glory. My name is MC Kalia, and I'll be your captain for the next 1 hour, 30 minutes. Let's have this conversation going. Good morning, everybody. Wakey, wakey. It's time for Morning Glory. My name is MC Kalia, and I'll be your captain for the next 1 hour, 30 minutes. Let's have this conversation going. Good morning, everybody. Wakey, wakey. It's time for Morning Glory. My name is MC Kalia, and I'll be your captain for the next 1 hour, 30 minutes. Let's have this conversation going. Good morning, everybody. Wakey, wakey. It's time for Morning Glory. My name is MC Kalia, and I'll be your captain for the next 1 hour, 30 minutes. Let's have this conversation going. Good morning, everybody. Wakey, wakey. It's time for Morning Glory. My name is MC Kalia, and I'll be your captain for the next 1 hour, 30 minutes. Let's have this conversation going.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you. This is the Morning Glory Show. My name is MC Kalia. Welcome to the biggest conversation, the biggest and the most comprehensive show online today. So with me in studio is Patricia Lagat to help us understand the investment opportunities in agriculture. But then before we go there, I should remind you that we are coming live from Dawi Afrique Photography, and you're currently tuned into the most comprehensive talk show online today. would just would like to understand if you were to get into agriculture, what are some of these things you need to know? What are the opportunities that are available in agriculture today, considering that we come from a region that is practicing a lot of farming and all that, but then we'd want to understand what I'm sure Patricia may want to call smart agriculture, agriculture that at the end of it all will give you profitability, and at the end of it all would be agriculture that is meaningful. So as we continue, of course, let me know where you tuned in from, but then this particular time, allow me to also give a chance to Pat to introduce herself or to say hi.
Okay, good morning, viewers. My name is Patricia Lagat, as you've heard. I'm based in Eldoret. I am the founder and proprietor of a small company called Horti Grid Limited, where we offer solutions to farmers in horticulture. This is consultation and agronomic support services for farmers in horticulture. Of course, we are trying to make a difference in how agribusiness is done in the region. And so far, we have a small team of very dedicated workforce, a small team that is there to see that the farmer makes sense out of what they're trying to do in horticulture specifically. Although, well, we can't say we are narrowed to horticulture only because some of our experts deal with all the other value chains, dairy, poultry, and so on. But anyway, that's for another day. Thanks for inviting me here. Very nice. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Nadhani watu wamesikiza sauti nzuri na kuona sura nzuri. So of course, be sure that this is going to be a very interesting show. So if you already tuned in, let me know you tuned in. I can see somebody called Sheila Chemwan saying they are tuned in from Kiplombe. Thank you so much for that. Let's keep tagging in our friends. Let's have this conversation together. Tuweze kuzungumza, and let's also be able to learn. Let's engage. Let's tune in, engage, and learn. So I would also like to just remind you that we are coming live from Dawi Afrique Photography. Dawi Afrique Photography is a production house based in Eldoret. It is a production house based in Eldoret, basement A. So anytime you're in Eldoret, please make sure that you make time and pass by Dawi Afrique Photography. We actually have a very family-friendly space. So if you need to take those nice photos, then consider passing by Dawi Afrique Photography. So my first question to Patricia this morning is, first of all, of course, what have they been doing? I think it's a long time since we met together before the cameras. How has it been? I'm sure that the last time we were together, it was during COVID time. So how are things right now?
During COVID time, of course, everybody was trying to get into agribusiness. Remember, we had a conversation and we were just wondering, so what will Kenyans do? You know, people are being laid off. People are going home hopeless. And at that time, everybody was trying to do something in agribusiness. Everyone was like, hey, I have a piece of land at home. Let me go and invest. Let me do something. So we saw an influx of people doing that. And of course, in terms of our service provision, we saw a demand for the same. Everybody was calling and saying, oh, I have a quarter of an acre. What can I do on it? What can I? So it forced us kind of to really up our game. Personally, on a personal level, I think just before COVID, I decided, let me go and see what else I can do elsewhere, you know. Then COVID happened, and I was forced to stay. And then there was a renewed demand for agribusiness services, so I had to stay. Mm-hmm. And I think since then, it has become a turning point for the business because we've seen a new kind of demand for our services, not only from farmers, but also from development partners who want to work with farmers. And I think that kind of has shaped a bigger part of our 2021 and 2022. And today we are here. I think it has been a learning curve. It has been a good experience. There's so much to talk about, but the biggest thing out of all this is we've learned that there's so much farmers can do, and there's so many opportunities, and hence this conversation today. Yeah.
Okay, and so something nice can actually come out of a pandemic.
Yes.
So let's start. I don't know. You see, you'd say that somehow COVID was good for agriculture at the end of it all, and we saw a lot of people getting into agriculture. But then now the biggest thing is, are they doing it right? That is the biggest question, and that is actually what informs today's conversation, because you can do agriculture. Of course, many people doing agriculture right now would want to do it, first of all, to provide for themselves, and at the end of it all, they would also want to sell part of the produce. And so for you to run a profitable venture, then you must always do agriculture right. And without even mentioning any value chain, what is how What does it mean when we say that somebody is practicing agriculture the right way?
First, we have a saying that we created in the business. You say, we need to turn things around. We need to move from agriculture to agribusiness. You know, culture is tumezoea kufanya hivi na hivi. Lazima nipande mahindi mwaka huu. Mtu wanasema Mkalenjin haizi kosa ng'ombe kwa boma. You know, it's just the culture. That's how we are used to doing things. But now we need to move our mindset from the culture to the business side of things. Why am I doing this? Am I making money out of this? So first of all, that's the first thing we need to start thinking. That's the first mindset that we need to change from agriculture to agribusiness. Then now to your question, how are we doing it right? When you decide to do agribusiness, not just agriculture, then you definitely have to play to, like in any other business, there are rules and regulations and the way things are done. So you also have to consider the principles of doing that. So there are many principles to consider when you're doing agriculture. No principles really in agriculture, but there is a lot of principles now when you decide to shift from agriculture to agribusiness. Hence the need to do it right if you're going to make profit. Yeah? It's not just a walk in the park. And nowadays I also like to add a new dimension to it. It's just not business as usual. That's
you must also be smart in it.
You have to be smart in it. So that's where agri-enterprise comes in. So you see, we need to shift from agriculture to agribusiness and then now apply what we have and, you know, take advantage of all the opportunities we see and we move to agri-enterprise. And I think that's the next frontier. And in this conversation, I think I'll also touch on the same. Yeah.
Okay, and just to remind my viewers that today is Tuesday, the 24th day of January 2023. With us in studio is Patricia Lagat, who is one of the directors at Horti Grid Limited, with us today in studio. Just help us understand investment in agriculture. What are the sectors you can get into? And while getting into them, then what exactly are some of these profitable ventures that you can also ride on? And so if you're already tuned in, of course, tag in your friends. If you are there, hit the notification button so that the next time we go live, you're also able to watch this particular, you're able to benefit from other guests who will come into the show. So Jepkorir Lagat, let's be, I usually love, I think agriculture is too practical. So somebody has land right now thinking of getting into a venture. They've not identified what they want to do. Take them through that journey.
Okay, so of course, everybody when they think of agriculture, they think about their land at home. That's a common thought process. I have land, I want to get into agriculture. I'll still come to the fact that it's not, you don't have to have land for you to do agriculture. But anyway, let's start with the land. So when you have a piece of land and you want to get into agriculture, the first thing you should do your research. Find out, how can I turn this land into profit? You know, one, find out who has done what before that has worked. And of course, Kenyans will like going to media to read stories, find out who did what where. There's very nice stories. Oh, I made $1 million from an acre. I made $1 million from a quarter of an acre. All these stories are there. As you read them, because that's normally the first aspect of research for Kenyan farmers, also be very careful about the wording. You know, the headlines can be very good. But now read deeper into the stories. Did they really make $1 million from a quarter of an acre? Was it the gross revenue or was it the net revenue? There's so much into it. So anyway, most importantly, research. Find out what can work. Then as you research, you can start with informal research. Talk to other farmers around you. Find out what they think about what you, of course, most of the time you normally even have something you've been thinking of doing. So find out from other farmers, will it be profitable? And then beyond that now, go to the nearest support service providers. Could be government, could be non-governmental, that is, you know, your nearest Ministry of Agriculture Extension officers. Come to people like us at Horti Grid for matters horticulture. Go to someone for dairy, another person for... Identify who can really help you. Then get further information on that particular enterprise that you're willing, or rather you're thinking of getting into, yeah? So first of all, do your research well. So you've done your research well, get your numbers right. Which, in the past, it was as simple as just sitting down, doing the cost of inputs, and then doing the cost of production, and then you say, oh, and then I will sell, you know? Then I will sell at and this is how much I'll make in profit. And that has misled very many farmers. Nowadays, we say, take on a market-led approach. Work in reverse. This is what I want to grow. Where is the first question should be, where will I get market for my produce? Now go interact with the markets. Before you even interact with the nearest farmer around you or anyone else, go look for someone in the market end of things and ask them, what is the demand for this? At what point, which seasons, find out all those things about the market of whatever you have been thinking to do. Be it poultry, be it what, get into the market first. Understand the market dynamics of what you want to get into before now you go back into production. So things in agribusiness, things have to change. You have to start with the market first before you go into the actual production. Unlike in agriculture.
Before you even plant or before you even think of going into the farm, you first of all look at the market.
Look at the market and identify one, narrow down to one or two, have options. In horticulture, we say you can have a local market and an international market. We say the ideal is to grow for the international market and then have the local market as the backup, you know. So all those things, identify your market first. If you're in dairy, is it KCC, is it Brookside, is it who will buy your milk and at what price are they buying? Once you've identified that, now work in reverse. Go back to your costs of production. Will it make sense for you, given the market situation, to get into that venture? Another thing I also have to introduce at this point, it might make market sense sometimes, but is the ecosystem right? What do I mean by the ecosystem? Are you the only person doing this thing in that region, or are there many people doing it? And sometimes it can be to your advantage when you're the only person, the pioneer producer. Or it can be to your disadvantage, especially if the markets require a certain minimum volume for it to make sense.
Okay, so that means that you could produce something that nobody will buy because you cannot actually attain the minimum of what is needed. So
is what is needed, yes. Or if the market is so special and it's not a local market. Let me give an example. If you are the only person doing, you've identified a piece of land in, say, here in Wasingishu, and you've realized broccoli. You know broccoli?
Yeah.
Broccoli makes a lot of sense. Assuming broccoli is only eaten in the big hotels in Nairobi. Assuming, okay, we all know probably you can get some broccoli here, but the demand in Eldoret probably is lower than the demand for broccoli in, say, Nairobi. You have a farm in somewhere in Moiben huko, you know? It's even inaccessible, it's very far. And you've identified, you've seen, oh, I know broccoli is being sold at 100 shillings per kilo. My land is good, the soil is good, everything. And then you decide to grow broccoli on a quarter of an acre. You know you'll have a challenge getting to market. Even by the time you're getting to that market, the value of this broccoli has gone down because of the food miles. So you also have to think about the ecosystem in which you're producing. So sometimes it's safer to be in tandem with who is doing what in my region. Can we come together and do this thing as a team, as a group, as a focus, as a common producer group, and then we collectively, that's another term now that farmers need to start appreciating, collectively doing things.
Coming together, unity for purpose.
Unity for purpose, hence the cooperatives. You've seen the government doing so much effort in trying to come up with farmer cooperatives because the aspect of collective production and will give you collective bargaining in terms of inputs and also collective bargaining in terms of prices and so on, yeah? So, one, is your land suitable? Is the market right? Do you have the capacity to produce? That's another aspect. You might have a big dream of getting into dairy, but do you really have the capacity? Do you have the right expertise? Do you have the time? Do you have the knowledge? Do you have the right animals? You know, you can't get into dairy with a Sahiwal or some other breed that is meant for beef. So you have to have that knowledge, right? And then we've said the market, and then the ecosystem. Am I the only person doing this? Does it make sense for me to do it alone, or do we have to come collectively? So there are many factors, yeah? And that is what will make the venture either successful or a failure.
Okay, it is a great conversation on the Morning Glory Show. Expert Tuesday, of course. If you're already tuned in, let me know where you're tuned in from. I can see somebody called Kosgera Chesiri saying farming is a very tricky, needs a lot of concentration. There is somebody called Queen She says good morning. Somebody called Kosgera Chesiri once again saying good morning, the Morning Glory Show. I can see Kim Slavin. Thank you so much for always making time to be with us. And by the way, if you have any questions, make sure that you shoot them because Pat is here to help us. discuss this, so please don't ask me when she's no longer there. Kuna watu wanangojanga mpaka aende alafu mnaanza kuniuliza maswali, so I bring a doctor here, then somebody asks me questions about a condition after the doctor has left. So please make sure that you interact with the guest. Let's have those questions. Of course, there is Sheila Nyamwan says they're tuned in from Kiplombe. There is Fred Chumba Buffet saying Horti Grid Limited wana deal na nini. Healthy conversation. Thank you so much for that. Of course, I think you just missed a bit, but then I'm sure Pat will remind you just before she takes the next question. Sami Lagati says, following from Kapsoya. Faye says they're tuned in. Of course, thank you so much for making time to be with us. Tag in as many friends as possible, share the broadcast, and also like, because when you click the like button, I'm able to see that you are actually watching the broadcast. So, Pat, so many people, you've said that you go to the market first. Let's work from the market backwards. Apart from maybe people starting from the wrong place, what are some of also these other factors or some of the common mistakes that people do when they are getting into agriculture? Okay. Or agribusiness for that matter?
So other mistakes that people might make are, one, besides not getting the right information, which comes with a lot of, many other sub-factors into that, is going there unprepared. Let me start with the person trying to get into this agribusiness. Is your mind right? Like any other business, agribusiness will take you. See, you've done business before. You waking up every morning to make those decisions is as important as the money that you're looking for to go and invest in those decisions. So first of all, make sure your mind is right. Are you ready? Are you aware of what you're getting yourself into? And I like someone who commented and said, agriculture is very tricky. It needs a lot of concentration. We've seen telephone farmers before. I have a farm in Kitengela. I'm based in Mombasa. Mumeweka maji leo.
Alafu naambia tumeweka na zimekauka last week.
So, yes, one, your heart and soul and your mind have to be in the right place. Because you are the entrepreneur, you are the investor. That is one, before we even start on anything else. Once that is right, then you'll be able to put systems in place that will enable your vision to come true, to come to fruition. Even if you invested money and time and soul, you cannot be the owner, the donkey, the thinker, the marketer, the everything in your farm. You need a team. Who are the people that will work? Who are these people will be weeding? Do you have a labor plan? Do you have a labor system in place? Do you have all those things? So have a proper team. And that goes to any business. Now that we're looking at agriculture as a business, yes. So you have to have the right mindset. Then assemble a good team to work with you. Select carefully who will work on your farm. Once upon a time, someone said, you start with family labor, your people. If you're the head of the family, you start with your kids, that's good. But once you get into business, you learn very fast and very early that sometimes family labor does not cut it. Just go get the right people to work, the people you have no emotional attachment to. Someone you can tell, hey, go back and repeat that without feeling like
unamuumiza or something.
Cross boundary, So get the labor right. And then number 3, make sure you have the right inputs. Very important. You can't start farming on the wrong footing in terms of inputs. The right fertilizer, the right planting material, or the right genetic material in this case. Now I'm trying to think about both crops and animals. If you want to say go into dairy farming, get the right, is it heifers from the right market so that you're sure you're going to get your right output. If it's horticulture, get the right seeds, get the right seedlings. Seek advice on where to get that. And there are so many companies who have come up trying to serve only that purpose. Getting the right genetic material, seedlings, AI services and so on. Get it right. And then also look at the conditions of wherever you're doing, especially in crop farming. People say start with the soil. Make sure your soil is ready and right for whatever you want to invest in. Get a soil test done, get the soil analyzed so that it determines the right inputs, yeah? And I like what someone asked there, what does Horti Grid do? These are the things we help farmers determine before they get to invest. So we start with the pre-production processes, get your mindset right. Are you really ready, given that this is the landscape? Secondly, is your land ready? Do you have access to the right planting material, or do you want us to get you access to the right planting material? So we basically offer consulting and extension services to farmers in horticulture. That is to answer whoever answered, whoever was asking the question. Yeah. So, and then lastly, get the money right. Nobody should lie to you that answer tu pesa itakuja. No,
pesa itakupata mbele.
No. Budget. Budget and plan for the money.
Panda tu pesa ya wedding itakuja mbele.
No. You will find yourself in a scenario where you're calling your friends. Sasa unajua nilipanda managu imefika wedding na sina chochote bana. So nitumie laborers.
Alafu tukivuna tuone vile tutafanya.
Tutaona vile tutafanya. That is wrong. Get the money right. Actually, people normally say capital is the most important. No. The mindset and the knowledge and whatever, the plan is most important, but capital is the fuel. If you don't have the money from the beginning, because some of these things, if you talk about poultry, within 3 weeks, these chicks are another stage and they need something. If you don't have money, you'll end up losing the whole flock just because you're not ready with the cash required to do something at that time. Or weeding was necessary at some stage. You don't have the money. So get the capital right. Make sure you have the cash flow right for that. And we've seen this with most financing institutions. Farmers fail to repay loans because once they're given the money, they did not dedicate the money fully to farming.
Unaweka school fees kidogo and all that.
Current kidogo.
Actually, that was my next question. Yes. Because right now we see a lot of people, first of all, I'm sure the reason why somebody is asking why what Horti Grid does is because we've seen a lot of farms that have come up to do, let's say, some sort of financing for farming. And I don't want to give example of companies, but then what I would want to say is we've seen some have been successful and some have not been successful. We've seen farmers who've taken loans and they've even ended up now losing the whole land because of the loan. Would you, first of all, from where you sit, encourage somebody to take a loan to start farming? And then secondly, then also the same question will come back. What are some of these mistakes that we do once we've taken the loan? Yeah.
Okay. Loans in their traditional sense, someone gives you money, they expect it at a certain time with a certain interest, and there's a pressure of production here and there. Loans are very tricky. Of course, in most cases, that's the only way out. We wouldn't say that there'll always be a grant somewhere for you to go and do farming. You'll have to take loans. Probably the thing is, you need to plan well before you take this loan. And to curb this problem, because most farmers cannot be compliant to their own needs, to curb this problem, we've seen an influx of a lot of innovative financial solutions for farmers. Because they understand that farmers, when given money, it's likely for the money to go to other things.
So we better give them inputs. Or
give them inputs, give them this, give them that, give them support in any other kind of way except for cash. Or even give them access to credit without really giving them money, inputs on credit, this and this on credit, which I think is just the human flow, Hiyo sasa ni binadamu. Hata wewe ukipewa pesa leo, you've come to me like, nimekwama, I need a simple thing like I need 5k for fuel. Itafika mahali you'll decide, let me fuel for 4,000.
Then
nieke oil nini na nikule lunch. We are just not compliant like that 100% when money is concerned, especially when it's you alone making decisions for your money, So most people will, that's why we have these solutions to curb that problem, because that's a challenge with farmers and there are solutions for that. And that's where the agri-enterprise thing comes in. As young people, we need to start identifying those bottlenecks that face farmers in this journey of agribusiness and provide solutions for that.
And just before you get into you get into agri-enterprise. First of all, there is the issue of roping in young people into farming. I have heard the word sexy farming before being used somewhere. I don't know what it means. What will it take? Because as it is right now, we are, and just to also confirm this, we are coming live from Eldoret, so we may want to talk about this region more. Our parents grew up as agriculture, walikuwa wanafanya ile agriculture and maybe not necessarily agribusiness. Now we're getting into a space called agribusiness. So many young people also running away from farming. What will it take for young people? And from where you sit, how many young people are you able to rope in and now teach them the agribusiness? And with that, then why are so many people also, young people, running away from farming? What happened?
when it was agriculture, of course, it wasn't sexy, you know, because it's not funny. I mean, you'll be in gumboots all day, just plowing all day to feed your family first, and then the surplus you sell. I mean, you can't, most youths will say, I cannot go to school. Instead of being a professional working in somewhere and looking good, I go back to the farm looking like that mama in the village. So we have agreed, we've moved from agriculture, now let's move to agribusiness. But you know, agribusiness can be boring also. Year in, year round, you just go doing the same thing, planting, selling, you know, opening a grocery shop, just selling. You'll be like, is this really my life? I'm tired. Yeah. So because youths are young people, this is where we introduce agri-enterprise. Go study the system. People have been doing this and this over and over, and it has failed. So as a young person with my skills and abilities and exposure and knowledge in very different aspects of, you know, industry, how can I add value to agri-business, hence agri-enterprise? And if you were to rope young people into agriculture as an industry in general, then agri-enterprise is the way to go, you know? People have been buying maize and selling to a particular, say, cereal board and so on for years, year in, year out. The chain is known. Unapanda, unauzia cereal, unatengeneza pesa yako. But maybe the prices have been going down over the years. So this is an opportunity for young people. How can I still make value for these farmers? Do I find an innovative way of bypassing the usual to go direct to the millers so that farmers can find a different way of, you know, handling their produce? That's now when they say, let's make agribusiness sexy. It's not about taking nice photos on farms, looking good in gumboots, and, you know, posing with a big cabbage saying, hey, I'm a farmer, I'm this, I'm that. No. It's not about that. It's about getting that stimulation, about getting excited about things and be like, I think there's a challenge here, and I think I have it's an open opportunity for me as a person to provide this solution to farmers, and not only to farmers, to all the other players in the value chains. Yeah. I like what my business partner likes saying. Let's take on a value chain approach to agribusiness. You know? Look at what comes before what follows what happens at every stage. What are the challenges of moving from this stage to this stage? How can we provide a solution at that point? So, and that's where young people should be excited about. Taking on a value chain approach to providing solutions along value chains, hence agri-enterprise.
Agri-enterprise. Of course, you're tuned into the Morning Glory Show, coming live from Dawi Afrique Photography. Dawi Afrique Photography is a production house based in Eldoret. Of course, if you need nice photos, or if you need nice videos, anything that goes into videography and photography, consider working with Dawi Afrique Photography. Of course, also, the other day we were talking about polygamy here. At Dawi Afrique, we don't, if you have a bigger family, please feel free to be here. I'm sure Patricia can confirm that we have a lot of space for everyone to take photos. With us in studio is Patricia Lagat, who is she works at Horti Grid, and is helping us understand the agri-business, no longer agriculture, or what I call investment opportunities in agriculture. And we've talked about it, looking at it in terms of getting into agriculture. We've looked at something called agri-enterprise, and as we move forward, then we would actually want to be more, I would say, practical. Allow me to use practical for that matter. We're looking at Uasin Gishu County, we're looking at Nandi County, we're looking at Trans Nzoia County. Some people who tuned in are from Elgeyo Marakwet County. What are some of these ventures that somebody in this region can get into? And before even getting into them, now what are these practical, like when we look at Elgeyo Marakwet, what are some of, I've seen people get into horticulture for fruits and all that. What are these open spaces, what you'd say maybe value chains that do well in this region, and take us through the journey of starting and what the market is like right now.
Okay. So you've mentioned these counties, and I'll now mention something called NOREB, the North Rift Economic Bloc. It's a group of, I'm sure anyone who understands NOREB knows it's a group, it's the counties in the North Rift. It's like 10
counties, I think Nandi, Uasin Gishu, I've seen Elgeyo Marakwet, all the way to Turkana.
All the way to Turkana. And what we are blessed with as NOREB, we have like all the agroecological zones, from the extreme deserts in Turkana all the way to the beautiful highlands of Elgeyo Marakwet, you know? So that presents, it's like we have a small country with everything that we need. We have water, we have land, we have all these things. Then there are things that people are already doing. As a young person now, you want to get into agribusiness, not just agriculture, and probably agri-enterprise. So you have to identify, okay, what are people doing already? Let's start with Nandi County, for example. There's tea. Siyo tunajua majani chai in Nandi Hills. We have a lot of food crops, that is potatoes, maize, and so on, corn, in Nandi County. That spills over to Wasingishu County, where we call it the Wasingishu and Trans Nzoia, we call us the bread basket. So we have a lot of wheat, and we have a lot of basically
maize.
Grain. So wheat,
Grains.
yes. And then we go to which county?
Elgeyo Marakwet.
What do we have there? Fruit farming, yes. In the highlands, we have the passion fruit. In the lowlands, we have mangoes.
I've seen
Popo, and so on. We go to Baringo County. If you think Baringo, you think bees, you think honey. Yes. But now that one spills over to Elgeyo Marakwet because they share the Kerio Valley. And also, people don't realize there's a lot of honey from Nandi too. In places called Alai. In fact, my mom's place is called Jepkorir, which basically means a place where there's a lot of honey.
Okay.
Yes.
Actually, I have relatives from Jepkorir, and somebody from Jepkorir is actually tuned in. Somebody called Kipiator, right? He's called
Kipiator.
Yeah, Kipiator is from
engineer.
Sijui engineer kama ako hapa, engineer wa mashamba.
Salimieni engineer. He's from Jepkorir. Actually, engineer tells me he's my grandmother's very good friend, and I don't get it. I've never met engineer. Engineer, if you're in town, we need to have coffee.
Okay.
And then we go to Turkana County. When we think about agriculture in Turkana, you almost
it looks impossible.
It looks impossible. But shout out to my friend Epur. She's doing so much, turning that desert into productive land. This lady has single-handedly pushed for initiatives to come there and do a lot of irrigation agriculture, turning around that desert. And we've been there and we've seen. There is a lot of potential in that county. The soil is virgin. It's ready. All it needs is soil. It's water.
Water. So you have good soil. All you need is water.
All they need is water. And if the county of Turkana is listening, if anyone from there is listening, you guys have a huge potential to feed all of us. Desert agriculture Israel is built on desert agriculture. And if you can replicate that there's a lot of opportunities. Anyway, moving swiftly to Samburu County. It's always that county that we never think about when we think of the Noreb. They do a lot of what? When you think Samburu, you think livestock. They have a lot of nice pasture land, I guess. If Samburu is anything like Narok, I'm sure they can really capitalize on beef farming, beef production, beef production, livestock production, and so on. So in short, we have everything we need in this region to be able to do something. People have been doing things. So have they been successful? And how do we check whether these people have been successful?
Exactly.
We have success stories, yes. Occasional success stories of farmers who are doing things nicely, cooperatives coming together, doing this and that. But still, there's a lot of work to do. And if any young person is listening, the opportunities are immense. One, we can start from the pre-production opportunities. Farmers need inputs. Farmers need information. There is a whole army of young people who have gone and done courses in agriculture, or rather agriculture-related courses, that are idle. They're jobless. They're at home. How about taking your skills, coming together and saying, we're going to look for all the information we can get on how best to serve these farmers. There's need for extension services, and this is where these young people can really come together, plug in, and offer those services to farmers. We have development partners who have tried to do things, but you see, as any other donor-funded project, once the project is over, the initiative is over, the farmers go back to their default settings. We need the young people to pick up from that.
Then people start stories like, when they were here.
They were here.
When so-and-so was here, things were good.
But
then they didn't learn from it.
They didn't learn from it. Okay, maybe I can credit my company to... We started as farmers who were producing for some of these donor-funded initiatives. But once they left, there was a gap. And I was like, okay, here's an opportunity to serve farmers. Hence, Horti Grid was registered. But that's another story for another time. And then... So young people can plug in to the pre-production processes. Now, in the actual production, young people can plug in to make systems work for them, or rather do production in a more smart way. apply technology, look for information, and so on. The usual. Nasemanga factors ni zile zile, you know. Then, in the post-production, we have logistics, and we have logistics. I'm sure there is a young person who can only access a loan to go get a lorry to start collecting livestock and taking them somewhere. You know, someone will say, but kuna watu wanafanya hiyo tayari. What difference will I make? There is always an opportunity, you know? And then we go to value addition. I think that's where there is the most immense opportunity, if there's such a word. Yeah? Lots of immense opportunities in value addition, right from anywhere, from dairy, yogurt, nini, then you go to poultry, chinja kuku, funga vizuri, uza.
Izunguke hivi town.
Izunguke town, you know?
Watu waione.
And then, of course, when you come to horticulture, you can dry vegetables and sell. You can make jam out of this and that. I mean, you can make, I love what Mess Foods is doing. They're making something beyond chili sauce. There's another thing they do from chilies that is very nice, very tasty. Then we go to fish farming. Value addition, yeah, I guess. Freezing and selling. I don't know much about fish farming, really. I mean, there's so much in value addition. And then we go to niche marketing, growing for specific markets. We've been saying we want to get into export. We have an airport here that can help us do that. But it's just the willingness of people to come together. I mean, in short, there are still opportunities. Now, let's get practical. If you're a young farmer today, I have a friend who does dopers. Hii kondoo iko na kichwa nyeusi. Inaitwa dopers. I follow him.
Actually, nilisikia wakale wote wanaita doba. So I was like, doba.
Doba.
Oh, dopa.
I think from the people who have done it, they're saying it's very profitable. You can turn around your profits within a very short time. Requires little land, you know. You can be in campus, but you have one dopa, and then you build your flock pole pole. By the time you're graduating, you have your how many animals? I don't know the numbers, but I'm sure it's quite a number. And you pick from there. But of course, you'll need to work with a vet to just, you know, help you take care of these animals. That's an example of something that I've heard people are saying really works. I've not tried it myself, but I know that works. Now, let me come to horticulture, the one that I understand.
And before we come to horticulture, let me just sample some of the comments so that if you have any questions, then
Yes.
of course we are able to get them. Rispa says, okay, Jemutai Rispa says that you need to accept her friend request and she admires your work. Of course, Ambassador Alfred says he's tuned in all the way from Itigo, Nandi County. Rotich Ben says, good morning. Navin Jemutai says, thank you for the show. We have Kaltio Nasari says, good morning. Tuned in from Dukamoja, Kipkorogo. Thank you so much for that. We have Fred Kipchumba. I think I had asked that question. There is Wilbert Aaron saying, bila commitment, hawezi make good morning, tuned in, thank you so much. Kibet Luke Kimayo says, sexy agriculture, agribusiness, love her expression. Okay, there's somebody called Tobias Ocho says, good morning, pips, ni kama kawa. Thank you so much for making time always to be with us. There's somebody who says, lazima kulea kabisa, don't try. Okay, somebody says they tried farming, they tried potato. Nasema ona sasa ile bizi ya viazi. Anasema I give up. Managing these from far. Niliona mambo. Yeah, I think they are responding to managing a farm from far away, and of course you say that doesn't work. Now you were talking about getting into horticulture. Now getting practical, looking at some of the value chains and giving facts as they are.
Yeah. So when you come to horticulture, let me identify a young friend of mine called Michael Miriera. He's from Trans Nzoia County. This gentleman went and started something on strawberries. Kidogo kidogo, he was selling strawberries in panels. After a while, he realized there was so much surplus, he decided to create jam. He faced a lot of challenges, but you see, that's a story that someone can go pick on and be like, okay, so what exactly went wrong where? Then you'd have a discussion with such a person, and then you identify, oh, so this is where the challenge was. Let's pick it up from here. Let's make it work. I mean, people have tried things. If you talk about poultry, there are people who do raising, what are they called? Chicks. Day-old chicks. A lot of people bought those small incubators, raising their old chicks, selling to farmers, then farmers go ahead from there. So that's an opportunity. You can get into the poultry itself, but then you slaughter and sell from your farm. Unasikia ukitaka kienyeji, kuna corridor hapo wanauza tu kuku ya kienyeji. You know? That's now deviating from the norm whereby you just do broilers and then you're contracted by someone to buy. Other people just go specifically into making chicken feed. You don't have to import. Now we start constituting chicken feed. Of course, get the right licenses, get the right processes, and that's an opportunity that is very ripe. Other people will say, beyond chicken, manure. Kazi yangu ni collect manure ya kuku, ya mbuzi, ya nini. I make manure for farmers. That's still an opportunity. Back to horticulture. Other people will decide, let me do nurseries. You know, I shout out to my friend Mkulima Mdogo. I've seen him grow like his nursery from scratch. We have, of course, advanced nurseries where people just say, me, I'm going to focus in providing the right planting material. We have other young people saying, I'm going to focus in doing greenhouses for farmers. Shout out to my friend Tanui. He happens to be my agronomist. But besides what he does for us, the gentleman is getting very innovative doing irrigation systems and greenhouses for farmers. Shout out to such young people. I mean, the stories are so many. And probably when I'm seated here, I'm just wondering, it's high time maybe the challenge that I'm getting from this show itself is maybe we need to start documenting more of these stories and telling the stories of young people who are doing things. And not only the successes. We don't want the stories of I made $1 million.
I made $1 million. No. This is the journey.
This is the journey.
Let's plant together. Let's weed together. Until we harvest together.
We harvest. And we also need these young people to tell us, this is where I started. These are the challenges I faced. And this is where I failed. We want failure stories too. So that it can inspire someone to go find a solution for those things. If we are going to engage the young people, I think we need to be very honest also. Tuache ku shine.
Zile za, you see, I planted maize last year and this is what I made. No.
I would tell you in consultancy business, I've had my own challenges. It's not easy. Yeah. And especially, you know, when you're dealing with the hopes and aspirations of another farmer coming to you, you can fail them. And even in that kind of business, I can say sometimes I've seen failure on my end. And, you know, we are just shy to tell about the stories of where we have failed. But if we are honest about the practice, be it production, be it even that agri-finance institution maybe has failed in some parts. Tulipeana loans mingi, hakukuwa na compliance, wakulima walitoroka na pesa
tukaanguka. Yeah.
We need to hear those stories so that...
I was talking to a lawyer the other day and they told me that, you see, everyone is celebrating me right now that I have 30 years in practice.
Yes.
But somebody is not telling you about my first 10 years where I lost half of the cases. And
Yes.
So it's the same thing reflecting all over.
Yes.
People should share stories of their failures.
Because it's only through failure that we can learn. And it's only through failure that someone else can pick up and say, then this is the solution. If we don't have failure stories, nobody will be inspired to create solutions. Because for as long as I present a very nice picture as a farmer, and all I have to say is I'm succeeding, then no young person will be inspired because they're not seeing the success really, but you keep saying you're succeeding. But if you're honest enough with these young people and tell them, I've been doing stellar production, but when it comes to marketing, that's where I'm failing. I don't have access to markets, or the market prices are too low. Then it will inspire someone to go and say, how can we make the experience better for this farmer? Then agri-enterprise can only be born when problems are really presented in a very honest manner. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about agriculture and technology. Of course, what we would call smart agriculture, because a lot of things are happening in the agriculture. We've seen some people using drones. We've seen new ways of irrigation and all that. Let's talk about the latest technologies in agriculture, because these are also some of those things that I'm sure young people would really want to ride on. Yeah.
So technology in agriculture, of course, is the future. We cannot run away from that. And you know, when we think technology, people want to think tech, like ICT. Communication technology is only no.
Click the button and the seeds grow. No. Hey seeds, go ye grow.
No, that cannot work. Technology is more of an enabler to agribusiness. than it is the replacement to the human touch in agribusiness. if we take the drone technology, we've seen it working in other places. Of course, some of these technologies are quite expensive, beyond the reach of the average Kenyan farmer, who is mostly a smallholder farmer, you know. But with the collective action, then these farmers can access some of these technologies. And if you say ICT technologies, this can work with extension, this can work with information, this can work with marketing, you know, a digital marketing platform where farmers can identify, oh, even with my 10 kilos in the house, there's a direct there's a direct market linkage somewhere, you know. So ICT specifically comes for matters information, extension, and capacity building in this and that, agri-finance, and so on. Then we have what we call mechanization, which is still technology, and there's a challenge. The cost of labor in any agribusiness production is very expensive. It can sometimes come up to 50%, depending on the crop or the value chain you're in. Labor can be very expensive, hence mechanization. But then look at the farm sizes. Over time, they've dwindled from 10 acres of something to now we're dealing with half an acre, quarter of an acre. Ile tractor ilikuwa inalimanga eka 10.
Ilienda wapi and itaenda wapi?
No, italima aje quarter of an acre and still make sense. So there's need for smaller machines. Let's shrink our implements to serve the needs. Because most farmers in, say, horticulture will depend on manual labor, because the big machines do not make sense for their small pieces of land. So, and that's the direction. Maybe we're looking at we're looking at that direction as a company, whereby we want to have an army of young people with smaller implements. So that instead of having someone weed your farm for 3 days, unajua watu wa labor wana waste watu sana. Madam, unajua hii shamba yako imechukua siku 3, and this is supposed to be a 1-man day. An 8th palilia, that should be a day. But someone will come and drag their feet.
Unajua madam, hii mchanga yako mtu unakuwa ukigusa ndani unaanza mikono inachipuka.
Mikono inachipuka na mawe mingi. All these stories you hear from
hii shamba yako ni kama mtu aliyeikuwa na paa hapa. Kuna chupa mingi kwa mchanga.
So we're trying to see how we can come up with solutions for that. Small plowing implements, small weeding implements, small ridging implements, small bed making implements, and so on. Then we come to remote sensing, where now I know engineer, I'm sure kama anasikiza sasa hapo.
Engineer, he seems to be sleeping today.
Yeah, still under ICT, like now monitoring these farms. You are in Mombasa, your farm is in Eldoret, but you need to know on a real-time basis what's going on. So nakumbuka ile telephone farming. Want to turn telephone farming to real remote sensing farming, for lack of a better.
Umesema CCTV ya kwa shamba.
Yes, that is CCTV kwa shamba. Yes, but now it's not CCTV in terms of cameras, but it's more of other technologies that can help you understand where are pests coming up, what is happening at what corner of the farm. Because this one will just use codes, numbers, colors. I don't know. The DDS people know that better, but you can be able to remotely monitor your farm even from a distance. That's now you see ile problem ya mobile farming.
It's getting a solution.
It's getting a solution now. What else? Technologies, irrigation. Sasa mkifika saa 6 mfungulie maji. Nowadays there are solutions.
Get an alarm system.
Imejiset to every 12 nini. You have just from your phone you've programmed it. Irrigation systems open up. Your land is irrigated. You don't have to be at the farm. So all these things are solutions that will make agriculture easier to do, hence more attractive to farmers. It will create what we call efficiency in production systems, efficiency in marketing systems, and so on. But still, it does not replace proper planning and proper market systems. You can never replace that, because that's a human factor. Planning is you. You cannot have a machine now planning your farm and deciding and even calling to the bank to get money. No.
Maybe it's a gap somebody needs to get into.
maybe in the future of technology.
AI, artificial intelligence, maybe that will come up.
I can just lie back and be like, I have 1 million shillings in the farm, and then you put an algorithm.
Hey, think,
plan
baby.
Your farm.
Okay, thank you so much for that. My name is MC Kali. We're coming live from Dive Photography. This is the Morning Glory Show. It is actually the most comprehensive talk show in Kenya online today. With me in studio is Patricia Lagat. She's been into horticulture for so long, and she's here disseminating knowledge like nobody's business. So if you tuned in, of course, let me know where you tuned in from. I can see very interesting conversation going on the comment sections. Somebody say, count me in. Agriculture needs day by day management. There's somebody say soon tutafute mdosi atupe experience. I said somebody else saying what now, following from Eldoret. I can see Hosea Bethel Kipchirchir saying Niko Rada. Okay, thank you so much for making time to be with us. Of course, did you know also that Very Nice Media and Dawi Africa Photography are getting into news making? Of course, if you'd want to get some of these stories come up and all that, of course, there is a way we can always work. So we're also getting into, we are just about to get outside this particular studio, come to the communities and also bring out those nice stories. So very soon you'll be seeing very nice article, very nice documentaries of positive stories, and also, as she said, stories of failures, but then packaged in a positive way, in a manner that can also help somebody who is working a journey, be it in agriculture or any other sector. So consider it half done, because we are already planning to come out there. So if you have anything that you feel is newsworthy, if you have anything that you feel can impact society and community positively, then consider reaching out to us, and we can see how we can cover that. As we come to the tail part of this particular interview, of course, I'll give Patricia a time to, talk about those things. Maybe we may have failed to mention the important aspect that so many people fail to look at, but then at the end of it all affects their journey to making agriculture agribusiness.
I think we've captured everything. Let me just maybe take a summary of what we've done. Maybe something will come to mind. So one, proper planning.
Proper planning.
Then you get the right inputs, get the right, even before the proper planning, with the right information. So you need to get the right information in terms of markets first, information in terms of what you require.
It's actually interesting how
Yes.
Conversations join each other. So the other day we had somebody actually talking about how to start the new year, and they were saying that proper planning is part. Planning, information is part of proper planning. So
Yes.
I think,
Yes.
yeah.
So get the right information, one, for the markets, two, what is required, and then with that information, plan. Then assign resources for this. That is money, who will do what where, that's labor, and then assign yourself to it. Dedicate yourself, plan you. Very important.
Jipange.
Jipange.
Okay.
Nilisema amua. Young people say jitu.
Jitume.
Jitume. So be ready for the journey, and it's not going to be easy. And then three, now implement. Get the right timing for this, the seed, what time to harvest, nini. That's now management, proper management of the enterprise, be it crop farming, be it what. And then finally, get to the markets. That's a very important thing that maybe I think we've forgotten. The route to markets. You can have very nice produce as a person, as a cooperative. But if the route to market is clogged, then you'll fail. And that one not only is a factor for the farmer, it's also a factor for the policy makers, government, and everybody that is surrounding farming. We need to make the route to markets more friendly and profitable to our farmers. The route to markets need to be more efficient, because farmers can do their homework. But if the route to markets are poor, farmers will fail. And that is mostly about infrastructure, the right market systems, the right marketing environment, and that is mostly beyond the farmers. It's beyond the farmer. That's where now we call to policy makers. What are we doing to make, marketing of agricultural produce more efficient and hence profitable to the farmers? Yeah. And then finally, of course, sustainability. I always decry this word, sustainability. Don't start things that have hakuna next year. It's like
unaongelea next year. Watu wanaanza, mtu anapanda na anasema Mungu ataleta, ama unalima shamba unasema Mungu ataleta mbegu.
No. You have to plan. Part of sustainability, of course, is proper planning. And then also, in practice, think about what will happen next year in case this and this and this do not go as planned. always think of a sustainability plan for farming. Are we farming in such a way that we are conserving our soils? Because unaweza tumia mchanga this year na yaribike next year utakuwa na mchanga ya kutumia. You can use the wrong agrochemicals. Watu wakule, see, your market is the people who are supposed to eat.
Wakule wakufe.
Then you'll not have a market next year. So sustainability comes with, a level of, what do we say? A level of discipline, well, in practice. Don't do things just to maximize on the profits, forgetting that there is tomorrow and there is your children. If it's agribusiness, you need your kid to inherit this business. They start a small shop, they expand because they think sustainability. My grandson needs to carry the brand Nakumat, for example, Yeah. And then finally, the big elephant in the room, the big word that everyone is talking about, climate smart agriculture. We are headed towards hard times in terms of climate change, and we need to feed people in the next 100 years just as we are feeding them now, if not in a better way. So how do we do this in the face of climate change? Now, climate smart agriculture is a big thing that is coming up, which provides yet another whole array of opportunities for young people to invest in. So how do we turn around? Let's use Turkana as an example. Assuming Uasin Gishu will be as dry as Turkana in the next 100 years.
What happens?
Tutajilishaje. So if you think about that, now we start thinking of ways of how to do climate smart agriculture in readiness for probably desertification, or is it called aridification in the long run? Yeah. So planning and execution that is sustainable, and then of course create the demand. It's sometimes I like to say farmers should not be delinked from the markets. That's a mistake we've done in agribusiness for the longest, whereby farmers, it's like farm produce on a supermarket shelf have nothing to do with the producer at the farm. Farmers need to start taking an active role on how their produce is even perceived and sold anywhere. So farmers they need to be primed in such a way that marketing is also their function. It's not just a function of another person. Tutauzia nani alafu watenda ku.
And we don't know how it should look like out there, because that actually determines if the packaging at the end is good, then the demand grows better.
The demand grows. So farmers need to take an active role in the marketing of their own produce, so that we don't have a scenario pali wewe uliuza managu, ulipatia middleman managu kwa gates. But kesho, when you're going to the supermarket to buy sugar, you see the same managu sold at 4 times the price. And you're like, what? You mean nilipoa 20 bob na hapa ni 80 bob? So you get surprised as a farmer. You get very discouraged. I think that's the next frontier in farming also. We need solutions to involve farmers in the marketing of their own produce, so that we have farmer marketer, not a farmer who surrenders his produce to someone else who takes it up from there. So that we have a very vibrant part of the value chain, that is people who have nothing to do with farming, want to do nothing with farming. They're not even interested.
So they're just waiting for managu.
They're just waiting for managu, and then they now go and maximize on your produce. No, I think farmers now need to be really involved, even at the very end, so that it shapes even the way they produce. I am producing for this market, and I know this market will give me a better price, instead of selling to a middleman who will now package this thing for that market. Yeah. So,
okay, I think yesterday we were having a conversation with somebody here at the office, and I was looking at a packet of coffee, and I think 5 grams. I think it's around. It's usually, I think, 3 grams or something sold at 5 bob. So when you do it, that means that it is the most expensive commodity. Yes. And you try to look at the lives of the coffee farmers, and you're like, where is the disconnect? Because you look at the coffee farmer not making so much, and when you look at that small packet going for 5 bob, that means that you're being sold a gram at around 1 shilling and 20 cents. Then it means that there is actually that disconnect and need for that. But then of course, hakuna kirefu kisichokuwa na mwanzo, so we are almost coming to the end of this particular broadcast. I'll give Patricia a chance to give a parting shot. Of course, Patricia Lagat is from Horti Grid. Horti Grid is a company, I would say, that helps farmers with all these solutions we've been talking about. So if you're getting into any kind of farming, more so you're getting into horticulture, then consider working with Horti Grid for them to actually give you the right, to help you in decision making, of course. And I don't know if in your journey as a company you've ever met a situation where you had to tell the farmer, of course, this one may not work. I don't know if have you found yourself in a place where you tell the farmer this one may not work?
Yeah.
Of course, because of time, you may answer that as you give us your parting shot.
Yes. Okay, at Horti Grid, we help farmers make decisions for what to do and how best to do it. That's in short, you know. And we provide solutions all the way from pre-production, that is farm planning, enterprise selection, enterprise management, that is farm management, and all the way to farm produce marketing. Although nowadays we say we start with the markets, and then now we help the farmer get to that market, the desired market, yeah? And yes, we've had cases whereby you tell a farmer, I know you want a greenhouse, but it's going to cost you so much and it will not give you the returns that you require. Just drop that, opt for irrigating a whole 1 acre and do something for this season that will give you much more than having a greenhouse, and then you make losses. You know, it's a very delicate balance between us wanting to make profit versus wanting the farmer to actually make profit. So the needs of the farmer come before us. And yes, so, and as a parting shot, ukulima si ushamba.
Ukulima si ushamba.
Yes, ukulima si ushamba. And young people, we need to change things from agriculture to agribusiness, and then from agribusiness to agri-enterprise. And that is the only way we will be able to identify opportunities along whatever value chain and investment opportunities for ourselves. And in the event that you don't have the money, you can convince someone to invest in you along the value chain. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Patricia, for making time to be with us. Also, thank you so much, viewers, for making time to be with us. There is somebody saying a very interesting comment here, but then it's running away. Yako imeenda, ni kama itasomwa. There's a very interesting comment to end the show. But then nonetheless, this has been the Morning Glory Show. It is the most comprehensive talk show online today. If you're looking for a show that will start your morning quite nicely and on a base that is quite edifying, then make sure that you tune into the Morning Glory Show. Till tomorrow, we'll be talking about health. So it will be the Healthy, Wealthy, Wise edition. My name is MC Kalia, coming live from Dawi, Afrique Photography. See you.